Good evening and welcome. Tonight we're going to be flipping through this book about Andorra, and we're going to look at all the pictures and read all the little boxes. So let's just dive right in. Nice posing picture there. Andorra out in the field. Look how beautiful. Big mountains, lush green forest, and clear blue waters. An example of the type of rock you can find here, some black slate. It says they used it a lot for roofing. And we have the North Valera River here. Let's read about Lake Engolasters. I apologize if I mispronounce any Catalan. It's a really weird language. Let me fix that real quick. Sorry if that was loud. Let me apologize for mispronouncing any Catalan now. If anything is like super wrong, go ahead and correct me down in the comments. But I'm gonna do my best. Engolasters, maybe, I'm not sure, but let's read about it. It says the most popular lake in Andorra is nestled in a small oblong glacial depression. Lake Engolasters is a short 20-minute drive from the nation's capital, Andorra la Vella. Located at 5,250 feet above sea level, it provides a perfect escape from the noise and air pollution common in the capital city. The lake's waters are a deep blue, and the shores lined by velvet green meadows and stately pine trees. In the background, the high snow-clad peaks of the Pyrenees delight visitors with remarkable vistas. Visitors may picnic, fish for trout, or take a 2-mile hike along the shoreline. Lake Engolasters also plays an important role in the production of energy for Andorra. Water collected from the East Valera and Marge rivers is moved through an underground tunnel to the lake. From the lake, the water is funneled into a pipeline through which it flows into Andorra's major hydroelectricity plant near Encamp. This clean, renewable source of energy provides approximately 15% of Andorra's electricity. My goodness. If you saw my last video on Andorra, this mosquito is still buzzing around. Oh my gosh, I'm going to squish it. Let me get a post-it note. 1 second. Ready, set. Oh, I missed. Okay. The saga continues of the mosquito buzzing around. Well, this here is Julia de Loria in southern Andorra, in the valley there of the mountains, and beautiful stream here. Here's another glacial lake up high in the mountains, and here's Escaldes, just north of Andorra la Vella. We have a box here about Caldea. Let's read about it. Look how luxurious this looks. I could spend all day here. Caldea is Europe's largest hot spring spa. I'm not sure if that's true. I read before it was Western Europe's largest hot spring spa. I think there's one in Hungary. I think that's bigger, but anyway. It covers more than 64,584 square feet with indoor and outdoor facilities. There are warm water lagoons, saunas, whirlpool baths, Indo-Roman baths, waterfalls, warm marble slabs for massages, and many other stress and fatigue reducing treatments. The interior accommodations are housed in an ultra-modern blue glass structure that dominates the skyline of Escaldes. In winter, guests can settle into outdoor pools filled with steaming thermal waters and view majestic snow-covered peaks surrounding the city, which are just a short distance from the complex. Yeah, that sounds like heaven to me. spend all day there, I'll spend all week there. That sounds fantastic. Some more beautiful mountains, all covered in snow. And some people skiing up and down these mountains. And some wildflowers. Says this is the national flower called the pheasant's eye, or poet's narcissus. Really pretty. Bright, bright yellow. Here's a box about this animal. I believe it's pronounced the Assard. That's how I've always said it. I could be wrong, but I mean, look at this face. Oh my gosh. That's the cutest thing ever. Let's read about it. The Pyrenean chamois, commonly called the Assard by native Andorrans, is one of the national symbols of Andorra. It is a member of the antelope family and is usually found on the high meadows or rocky slopes at elevations between 6,500 and 9,650 feet. The animal is relatively small with a length of 3 to 4 feet and a height of 2 to 2.5 feet. A full-grown adult Assard weighs between 50 and 90 pounds. The Assard's hooves have sharp edges that permit it to cling to steep mountain slopes. The animal can run at breakneck speeds on some of the most difficult terrain in the Pyrenees. It is a cunning animal that is very suspicious of humans, which makes it difficult to hunt. However, native Andorrans have hunted the Assard for centuries. Since the number of Assards in Andorra is limited, the government restricts the hunting season to 1 week each fall. The event is known as the Casa de Laal, or the Hunt of the Assard. During the short hunting season, mostly male hunters trek into the high mountains where they camp and hunt for the full week. The hunt is as much about male bonding and camaraderie than it is about bagging an Assard. It's all about the friends you made along the way, I suppose. Look at this guy, the bearded vulture, or lammergeier. That's a tough dude. He looks like he could beat you up. Let's see, this is the town of Ordino, it says. Very picturesque and lovely. Very quaint. Here's King Charlemagne, the alleged founder of Andorra. We got some boxes here. The Andorran national anthem is called The Great Charlemagne, and here's how it begins. It says, "The great Charlemagne, my father, from the Saracens liberated me, and from heaven he gave me life of Marge, the great mother. I was born a princess, a maiden neutral between two nations. I am the only remaining daughter of the Carolingian Empire, believing and free for 11 centuries, believing and free I will be. The laws of the land be my tutors, and my defender princess." Pretty cool song. I should look it up and hear how it actually is put to music. The French Revolution's impact on Andorra. The one exception to the continuity of the co-prince's administration of Andorra occurred during the French Revolution. Because if you don't know, Andorra is ruled by a bishop in Spain, and whoever is in control of France at the time, they both rule jointly. So what happened during the French Revolution? The French revolutionaries rejected the paritage and Crestia as being feudal in nature, and terminated the rights of the French king as co-prince over Andorra in 1793. This action caused great concern in Andorra, whose population feared that the delicate balance of power and their neutrality, and that car outside, might be threatened. In 1806, the Andorrans successfully petitioned Emperor Napoleon I to restore the status of the French head of state as a co-prince of Andorra. I read all that with a mosquito buzzing in my face. I'm waiting for it to land somewhere, but my goodness, ouch. Oh my gosh, this video is chaotic. I just whacked my finger against my headphones really hard. That really hurt. Oh, the mosquito ruins everything. Here's Nicolas Sarkozy. There he is. He ruled Andorra at one point when he was president. And here's a box about the first king of Andorra. In 1933, a conflict between the General Council and young Andorran men over voting rights resulted in the dismissal of the General Council. The General Council refused to accept this action, and months of unrest and struggle ensued. These disputes led to one of the most unusual political events in Andorran history. Baron Boris de Scosereff, the self-proclaimed Count of Orange from the Netherlands, claimed himself to be King Boris I of Andorra. The General Council, seeking to establish a constitutional monarchy, accepted Scosereff as their first king. The Bishop of Urgell was not amused at this attempt to interfere with his political power in Andorra and sent Spanish civil guards to arrest Scosereff. Scosereff was brought before a judge in Barcelona, spent time in a Madrid prison, and was exiled to Portugal. Later investigations proved that King Boris I was a fraud, his claim to be a Dutch count totally false. Yeah, he was a grifter. Interesting character. If you want to know more about the history of Andorra, I read these chapters about history for my channel members in a very soft voice. It's not chaotic at all, I promise. You can click the join button down below or click the link in the description box. It's only 99 US cents a month, and you can hear me read more out of these books. I post at least one a week. This is the Casa de Laal, which at the time this book came out was the building that housed Andorra's government. It's no longer there. There'll be a box about it later. We'll read about it then. Here's Andorra's flag. Let's see what else we've got. This was the Bishop of Urgell, or Urgell, I think it's in American English, at the time this book came out. His name was Joan Enrique Vives y Sicilia. And here we can see the Prime Minister of Andorra with Pope Benedict when he was Pope. Here's where the Parliament would meet in the Casa de Laal. I've got a box here about the Somaten. Andorra does not have an army, navy, or air force. There has not been a war in Andorra since its formation and establishment of boundaries in the year 839 CE. However, through the ages, the country has been defended by a group known as the Somaten. By tradition, each family in Andorra assigned one male member of the family, usually the father or oldest son, to represent the family in the Somaten. Each individual member was required to have a rifle and an adequate supply of bullets. Every individual was an officer, but no member wore a uniform. The Somaten had no women. Because Andorra never went to war, the Somaten engaged primarily in ceremonial functions at national celebrations or acted as volunteers to maintain order after natural disasters, such as avalanches and floods. In 1929, a national police force was established with 7 members. Today, the National Police Force employs 250 men and women, and the status of the Somaten is largely in limbo. And from what I've read about Andorra, this is not really a thing anymore. It's just kind of a local militia, but it's not really like governed. Like each family doesn't have to send a boy or man to this militia, but every home in Andorra is required to carry a rifle, I believe. Yeah, rifle. But from what I've read, it's mainly to keep away bears. It's so, because I mean, there's not really a police force. If you're in the mountains and you've got a bear, if you call them up, they'll be like, yeah, we'll be there in like 40 minutes. So the rifle will keep the bear away, you know. It's just kind of for that. What is this? Oh, it's a water tank in San Julia de Loria. We are building something here, working hard. Here's a little shopping center here. Duty-free shopping in Andorra La Vella. Skiing down the hill. Hiking in the woods. This is a bank. One of the few banks in Andorra. And there's another building being built here. And here's a big box about the Andorran Tobacco story. Let's see what it says. Tobacco has played an important role in the Andorran economy for a long time. It was grown for local consumption for centuries. Then in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, a small number of tobacco factories was established to produce cigarettes, cigars, and snuff. Women who worked long hours to supplement family income did much of the labor in the factories. A considerable portion of the finished products were then smuggled across the borders into Spain and France. After 1945, when Andorra began to open duty-free shops, many foreign tobacco companies wanted to sell their products in Andorra's shops. The clever Andorrans approved of the concept, as long as the foreign companies were willing to buy the entire Andorran tobacco crop to make cigarettes in the factories they operated in Andorra. Because much of the tobacco grown in Andorra was produced in the valleys, where the mountains blocked sunlight for large portions of the day, Andorran tobacco had always been considered to be of inferior quality. A dilemma now faced the foreign tobacco companies. They were eager to have access to the large duty-free sales market, but they did not want to use low-grade Andorran tobacco. The solution was a unique compromise. The story of Andorra, unique compromises. The foreign tobacco companies imported high-grade tobacco to make their cigarettes. The Andorrans continued to grow their tobacco and were paid a premium price for each pound. After the Andorran tobacco was weighed and the farmer paid, the tobacco was destroyed by burning the entire crop. This special arrangement is expected to end in the next 3 to 4 years. I wonder if that's over by now. But that's funny, I think. An interesting story. I also read about, I'm pretty sure this is true, that right now Andorrans are have the most smokers per capita, like anywhere in the world, because the population is so small, and I'm sure that like 99% of the people there smoke. Interesting. Look at this person out here hiking in this beautiful area near the stream. Let's see. It looks like they're chopping up this part of the mountain here for something. And it says a sheep herdsman with his dog. That's very sweet. A busy day in Andorra La Vella. And there's a traffic guard telling people where to go. Some trash bins for different types of recycling. And let's see. This guy is employed to protect Andorran wildlife. And we've got some fishy farms over here, aquaculture. Let's read about some innovations in agriculture in Andorra. The outbreak of mad cow disease in Europe led to increased fears regarding beef consumption. While tourists to Andorra continued to demand beef in the many high-quality restaurants, they wanted assurances that the meat was safe. This created the opportunity for a special market for sale organically raised cattle. The Asociación de Ramaders, or Andorran Farmers, organization was established to meet this need. Members of the organization raise cattle under extremely strict standards. All feed eaten by the animals must be free of preservatives and chemicals. Hay and grass consumed by the cattle must be grown using only manure for fertilizer. During the final fattening stage, males are separated from females and are placed in individual pens in temperature-controlled barns. Agricultural inspectors conduct tests on all cattle once a month to ensure that the animals are healthy and eating the proper diet. The cost of steaks from these organically raised animals is high, but customers are happy to buy this safe, high-quality meat that is delicious. Got a kindly old man here. Let's see, what's that? Just people bustling about this restaurant. It's talking about the Andorran population, so lots of pictures of people. There's these guys working on the roof, says they're Portuguese. These kids about to go play some football. Let's read some requirements for passive residency permits. See what you have to do to live in Andorra or become an Andorran citizen. You have to own or lease a house or apartment, pass a medical test regarding certain diseases, provide proof of no criminal record, present evidence of having a private health insurance plan. So far, do you qualify as an Andorran citizen? I guess besides that. You have to spend at least 183 days in the country each year. You have to register and insure a vehicle in Andorra. You have to apply for an Andorran driver's license. Certify that the individual has an annual income of more than 30,000 euros plus 10,000 euros for each dependent. And you have to deposit 30,000 euros plus 7,000 euros for each dependent with the government finance agency that is listed as an interest-free loan to the Andorran government and is refunded at the time the individual surrenders his or her residence. So you pay a deposit. Interesting. Very interesting. Let's see. Another shot of the busy city. It's another picture of the shopping center here in Andorra la Vella. Some little cabins out here in the woods made of stone. Let's see, doing more shopping. And let's read about the Casa de Laal. And again, this book came out about 10 years ago, maybe like 15 years ago, so I'll update you after. It says, no one building symbolizes the isolated mountain heritage of Andorra like the Casa de Laal. The Bouquets family originally built this impressive building as their family home in 1580. In 1702, the building was purchased by the Council of the Land and designated as the seat of Parliament. Currently, the building serves as both a museum and the active meeting place for the General Council. The chamber where Parliament meets is impressive and intimate, with photos of the two co-princes, the President of France and the Bishop of Urgell, quietly observing the conduct of the central government. The spacious kitchen, with its antique utensils, has been perfectly preserved and displays a clear image of life in the 16th century. Other rooms contain a criminal court, a small jail, and a salon with beautiful frescoes representing the Passion of Christ. Interesting. So this building no longer houses the General Council. They have their own building now, all modern and stuff, but it's still a museum. You can still walk around and see all these rooms they list. What's over here? The parish of Ordino, a famous church in Andorra. We are heading off to school on the bus there. Here's some more churches. This is the Saint Martin de la Cortinada. It's a really pretty church. And there's a big church altar here. There's the church again. Some examples of the art you can find in these very, very, very old churches. And here is another little chapel. And let's read about the story of the Virgin of Married Shell, which I think that's how you pronounce it. Ken, let me know in the comments if that's like way off. It says, the Gothic style wood carving of an image of the Virgin of Married Shell dated to the 12th or 13th century. Okay, the story says that a shepherd or small group of people found the statue surrounded by flowers that were blooming out of season on a snowy hillside. The statue was moved to the nearest hamlet for protection, but disappeared during the night. The next day, the statue was found at the original site of discovery. This routine occurred 3 times, and finally the people decided that this was a sign from God to build a church at that specific location. The new sanctuary contains a copy of the original statue of the Virgin of Married Shell. Really interesting. I love those stories on how like statues or icons or things are found and sanctuaries built in those spots. A warning sign here. This is about the language. So they're showing the language here. Catalan. We've got a big building here, an office building of some kind. Days of the week in Catalan. I'm not going to bother saying those. Embarrass myself. Some more phrases in English, Catalan, Spanish, and French. Again, not going to embarrass myself. I can only speak 2 out of the 4. There's a nice statue here, a couple dancing. And a beautiful old church door. We've got a Roman bridge here. And a much more modern building. This is the Caldea, that big spa we talked about. Really does dominate the skyline, doesn't it? We've got a famous writer here from Andorra. His name's Juli, I'm not sure, Minovis Triquel. But let's read about Albert Salvado. Today, Albert Salvado is Andorra's most popular and best-selling author. He has written children's books, essays, and novels. The popularity of his books stems from his unique ability to weave reality, fiction, and mystery into his writing. His literary skill has been recognized with several awards, including the 2nd Nestor Lujan Prize for the historical novel, the Fitter E. Russell Prize for the Circle of Arts and Letters, the 1st Planeta Seri Negra Prize, and the Charlemagne Prize. Some of his best-known works are The Master of Cheops, Attila's Ring, Death and the Man from Marseille, and Hannibal's Eyes. Some modern art here. Really pretty. Much more modern art. It's called Robot in Suspension. I like it. And altar here at a Catholic church. Playing in the snow on their little skis. Very cute. And hiking up the mountain there. This box says the Mini Olympic Games. In 1985, the International Olympic Committee approved the creation of the Games of the Small States of Europe. The Games are a 6-day mini-Olympics held every other year for European nations with populations of less than 1 million inhabitants. The member nations are Andorra, Cyprus, Iceland, Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, Malta, Monaco, and San Marino. No one from the Vatican has the guts to show up. 10 sporting events, including basketball, swimming, volleyball, tennis, and judo, make up the games. Andorra hosted the most recent games in 2005. That tells you how old this book is. When the Andorran swimmer Hosina Hassiani dominated the swimming competition, winning 5 gold medals and 1 silver medal. None of those Catholic priests over the Vatican can swim. Come on. They should participate at least a little bit. Here's an Andorran skier at the Olympics in 2006. And playing the rugby team, their national team, is the Assards. Very appropriate. And some Andorran football players there. Playing some chess at this outdoor cafe. Let's read about the legend of the Piper of Ordino. Each August, Ordino holds its popular bagpipe festival. Pipers from all over Europe gather for the competition, which includes exhibitions, concerts, and parades. The event was initiated to celebrate the legend of the Piper of Ordino. According to the legend, the people of Calo hired one of the best bagpipe players in the country to perform at a festival for them. However, he did not arrive on schedule, causing great concern in Calo and then anger. When the piper arrived very late for his appointment, he told an interesting story. He had started out early for his trip to Calo, but had stopped to eat lunch. While eating, he was startled to discover a pack of wolves growling and hovering behind him. He ran for his life, with his bagpipe in tow. With the wolves chomping at his heels, he started to climb a tree to escape. However, the bagpipe got stuck in the branches of the tree, and when he jerked to free it, a horrifying sound came out of the bagpipe. The terrible sound frightened the wolves, and they fled in a panic. The piper climbed down from the tree and resumed his journey to Calo. He played his bagpipe all the way to make sure the wolves did not return. When the people of Calo heard his story, they forgave his late arrival, and the festivities began. I wonder if that story is true. Some beautiful flags for a festival. Calendar of public holidays. We're going to skip that. Let's look at the food. We've got some salads here. And some moo-moos having some food. There's one of those steaks they were talking about. And some of those fishies that they probably farmed. And some foie gras. Just kind of problematic food. And we've got bread, sausage, some french fries. It says grilled artichoke. I guess that's it right there. And some beer. Not a bad meal. We've got some toasted bread. Classic Andorran bread and a spinach salad, which is nice. I'm allergic to lots of leafy greens if they're uncooked. Spinach is one of the few that I can tolerate for the most part, so spinach salad's kind of the only salad I can eat. There's a map of Andorra and where it's located in Europe. That's going to be it for tonight. Sorry that started off a little chaotic. I'm going to go find that mosquito. Its days are numbered. But thank you so much for watching. I do hope that you found this video relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a good night. Why is my camera struggling to focus? Oh well. The chaos returns. Good night. Maybe he doesn't like this cover. Like